Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Elizabeth Wamberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you are new here. Today is 11/11, November 11th, so we have an angel number day. Okay, so this is just little mini readings I like to do on days like this, just to remind us that we are always being looked over and cared for and watched from the other side. So however that resonates for you, it can be from God, it can be from Creator, it can be from the angels, people who you know who've crossed over, your spirit guides, anything like that. But this is just quick 10-minute readings just to give a little energy check-in and just, feel some love and care and support and maybe get a little bit of guidance or things to reflect on for yourself. Okay, I have 3 groups for you today. You can go ahead and pick by the card you can see, by the number, by the sound of my voice, group 1, group 2, or group 3. When you're ready, all the timestamps are below, and I will see you at the reading that you chose. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 1. So you all picked the goddess card Irene, which I'm a little biased because it's, a variation of my name, Erin, and we know that that means peace. Okay, so this is the goddess of peace. So there's no need to worry as everything is working out beautifully. So I feel like this is a reminder, if you pick group 1, part of this resonated with you in terms of there's no need to worry. Okay, sometimes we can get so caught up in like, how is this going to work out? And what about this thing? And what about that? And what about this? And how about these little details? And what about this thing? And what about that? But the thing is, if we can just remain humble, surrendered, patient, if we can calm ourselves enough through this whole process, you'll see so many things get taken care of that wouldn't have been able to if we have been trying to like nitpick and control and take care of everything all this time. So this is, sometimes people think like, oh, I have peace or I have trust in God, but sometimes we can only feel like that when things are going our way, right? We can feel like we're spiritually fit only when things are going in the direction we want. And so part of building peace, part of building resilience, part of building trust in God, actual trust and faith in God, not just like, yeah, I believe in that, but the uncomfortable parts of really believing in that comes down to the fact that like, can you believe in that and hold space for that when things aren't going your way, when it seems like it's disaster after disaster after disaster, when it seems like nothing's going how you want, when it seems like, all of those things, when all of that is going on, how connected to God are you? Because that's what will show you the truth. That is what will show you what is really in your heart and how you really feel with all of that. So, and, it's easy to be like, oh, just don't worry about it. And so we're not trying to spiritually bypass here. So if you're worried, you need to not just say, okay, I'm not worried about it. You can pray about it. You can say, God, please show me how this is working out on my behalf. Please show me what I need to do in the meantime. Like, because if you really believe God is loving you and taking care of you, then it will be easier for you to not, you have to build that muscle and that faith and that trust. And also this comes down to like, are you willing to be wrong? Are you willing to say, I thought it was going to go this one way and then it didn't. And I'm going to let go and let God take care of me instead of me trying to force my way and my understanding into everything. Because the more we can let go of things, the easier it is for things to move forward and change. And like God's perfect plan for us can unfold. So this is a reminder, there's no need to worry. Everything is working out beautifully. Group 1. Okay, I'm going to pick 3 tarot cards for you. And then I'm going to pick a few oracle cards. And then we'll close with 1 affirmation card for you guys. Okay, so you all got the Lovers, 2 of Cups, and 6 of Swords. So the first message I'm getting with this might not be a message for everyone, it's just a general reading. If you are worried specifically about your romantic situation, your romantic life, the Lovers came out very clearly right away. So just say that like you are being taken care of. Love is a journey. Life is long. We can unlearn patterns. We can be different. We can have a different story. Things can change for us. So that's the first thing I'm hearing from this. So if you're someone who's like really worried about romance stuff, if that doesn't apply to you, don't worry about it because there's other messages coming through, but that's the first thing I want to say. But so with this Lovers, 2 of Cups, and the 6 of Swords, what I'm really getting is, especially like with this, things working out beautifully, like there's no need to worry, things are working out beautifully. It feels like, so when I read for individual readings, general readings, the Lovers to me is about everyone has masculine and feminine energy inside of them, and it's about coming into balance with that and owning all of those different parts of us. Instead of like, I'm masculine and you're feminine, or you're feminine, I'm masculine. Like, no, it's like everyone has both of those things inside of us. And so really owning that energy is like how I read the Lovers when it's an individual reading. And then with this 2 of Cups energy, also I feel like these two cards together are saying like there are some disowned parts of you, which is why it's hard for you to trust that things are working out for you. So this could be, I mean, I don't know, but this could be something like I felt abandoned by God, or, when I was little, I couldn't express this particular side of myself. So now I don't feel comfortable doing that. And, it's like about coming back home to yourself, calling all of those pieces back to you, trusting that, letting that come forward for yourself with all of these things. So this is, and then the Two of Cups is really about, meeting someone where they are, which I think is you. So just kind of extending that olive branch to yourself, saying like, I'm ready to connect with you. I want to meet with you again. I'm ready to do that. And I'm hearing once you do that, once you accept all these parts of yourself, and once you kind of like nourish them and hold them and be gentle with them, and maybe the way you wish the world would have, that's going to heal a lot of things for you. And when you have that more whole energy within yourself, when you re-heal and reconnect those connections to yourself, that's going to put so much peace over these things in your life, because sometimes we think, oh, well, I need this, this, and this. And like we do have basic things we need to be alive, but this can also be energy of like, sometimes we're missing ourselves. We think, well, I need the partner or the house or the job or the this. And again, we're not going to act like we don't need those certain things. But this is about, knowing that when we feel disconnected from ourselves and disconnected from God, there's like no loneliness that cuts as deeply as that. And then what I'm also hearing with this is with that Six of Swords, this might be a little sad. This might be feelings of loss. You might have to set some boundaries and walk away from certain things, or realize, oh, I don't need that particular thing or pattern or relationship or whatever in my life anymore. And I'm hearing like, trust the process, trust what feels like protecting your peace and feeling whole and clear within yourself, because that's not worth losing for anything anymore. So I think group one, I'm just hearing like the way you can find peace is like really stop turning away from yourself, stop pushing away from yourself, stop, like, and I know it's like sounds so simple, right? But this is a lot of practice things over and over again of like telling myself, I love you, I accept you, journaling about it, praying about it, say, can I accept this about myself? Like if you have a friend who told you certain things that they can't accept about themselves, how would you talk to them about it? Talk to yourself about it in that way. Okay. So a lot of this energy of just like accepting who you are, trying to lean into that, trying to feel some closeness and like connection around that. Okay, we're gonna look at oracle cards. Okay, we have flow, don't force. So I feel like an easy not an easy, but maybe a way the ego would want to go about this process would be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna accept everything about myself, no problem, I did at the end, right? But flow, don't force is like, this is a process, so even this, like going away from it and the sadness and all that. See, there's like flowing water on the corner down there. So flow, don't force is like, you kind of need to surrender to this process. It's easy to be like, cool, I'm going to accept everything about myself. Here I go. But a lot of times, things will come up, or a pattern we get stuck on, or like this wound that like takes a lot of time and energy to look at and hold in the light and just put so much compassion into. Sometimes that can take a little bit longer than, just like, okay, I thought about it once, so I'm done. Like I don't think about it anymore. So this is just to remember that it's okay if, it's not a slow and steady, clear, okay, one step at a time, up I go, whatever, it's like just trusting that process and knowing like you don't need to force your process with yourself. Life is long. We have a deep connection with ourselves that's going to last for our whole life. The only person in our life forever and the most is ourselves. And so knowing you don't need to rush through this process, because you have a lot of time to do this, and you have a lot of time to, there's no rush. It's going to take the time it's going to take. And if you try to cut corners or be like, okay, I did it, I'm done, you're going to have to come back around and look at that again eventually. So again, what I'm really hearing is flow, don't force, and just allow the process to be what it needs to be without forcing it to be, okay, it has to go this, and this way. Okay, then we have connect to heart. So again, I feel like with a lot of these things of like accepting ourselves, it can be really easy to be like, oh yeah, I know in my mind, this is my wounding, this is how I'm going to look at this, whatever. But sometimes we can be upset for a reason we don't think we are. We can be holding on to something that we totally forgot about, or, all this. So I think this is a lot of heart work, which again, sometimes we don't want to do because it's a lot. It feels like a lot. But if you're able to sit there and just like put your hand on your heart and really tap into yourself and really just say, like, okay, I'm going to connect to myself. I'm going to really hear what's going on within my own self. I'm going to hear my own heart. I'm going to, all of that. And it's going to be important to remember that, like, letting your heart be your guide with this process of like, well, I thought I need to heal this, but what my heart is really saying is this other thing, particularly. So connect to heart, really letting your heart be your guide and letting that be the thing that guides you to this process of finding peace. And also trusting, we think like, sometimes we might think, okay, well, this specific thing is going to help me, is going to feel good, but then we try it and it doesn't feel good at all. So just trusting, like, what feels right in your heart and what feels like truth to you, instead of, logically like, oh, okay, well, this would work for me, but maybe we get there and then it doesn't. So connect to heart is about, again, trusting, recognizing things by how they feel more than what it looks like or what your mind might tell you about it. Okay, we'll close with one affirmation card. True healing occurs when I give myself permission to feel whatever feelings live below the triggers. So again, I feel like group one, this is the theme of your reading, of just like, you can connect to peace by really owning all these parts of yourselves, really connecting to them and really honoring them, instead of, feeling like, okay, it has to be this exact way, this thing, and like trying to logic your way out of it. It's time for you to go into that next deeper level of holding yourself with gentleness and love and care. Group one is really what I'm hearing. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 2. So you all picked the goddess card of Mot, which is, she represents fairness. Okay, so the situation will be handled in a fair and just manner. Okay, so what I'm hearing with this is like, sometimes we can be like, justice for me would be this thing. This is the exact way it work out. This is what would happen. This is what would make me feel good and comfortable. And fortunately and unfortunately, that's how Earth works. There's been many situations where in my life where I thought, okay, well, if this happens, then I'll feel better or relieved, but it doesn't happen, right? So this is a reminder that there is divine justice. There are things going on that we're not aware of. There are forces going on that we're not aware of. There are things in our own lives that are a result of things that we're not aware of, right? And it's easy to judge things by outer circumstances, but we don't actually know what's going on within our hearts and how we're feeling, how other people are feeling. So the situation will be handled in a fair and just manner. Sometimes we look to justice as like these physical reality things, which is very valid because we are in physical reality, right? But sometimes we have to remember there is this next layer of, can justice for you be like, how's your conscience, right? Sometimes that can be enough for you, of just like, there's a lot of worldly things that are unfair that we can't do things about. I'm not saying we shouldn't try, we shouldn't work for them, but there is a limit to some of that, right? But justice can be turning inward and saying, do I have a clean conscience? Did I act with integrity? Was I genuine? Do I have a clean heart? Did I make amends where I needed to? Did I apologize where I needed to, right? And doing all of that can contribute to a sense of justice, in terms of like, I was fair. I can't control anyone else. I can't control what anyone else does or doesn't do, or how they feel inside or how they're acting. And so trusting, like, okay, if I did that, then, even if I have to go through hardship and go through these things that seem unfair and are unfair, like, again, that's part of Earth. Not justifying it, not saying, cool, let's not have it happen again, but this idea that we live in this world that's completely like, this for this, eye for an eye, da da da. Like, how many times do we need to see that that's not how Earth works? But as humans, we're so like, this is how it needs to be, this is what needs to happen, this is whatever, when we've just seen so many times that's not what actually happens. So I feel like if you're really, really connected, group 2, to this idea of like, okay, this exact thing needs to happen for this, then I'll feel better. It's kind of time to like let that go. You need to set boundaries to protect yourself, to know that you're being taken care of, to realize, okay, I don't want to engage in this or this thing, right? So protect yourself for sure, but sometimes there is not justice in physical reality in the way that we would like. And so that's like, how can I feel like fair and just and closure between me and God, because I know how I acted and what I've done is in integrity with my spirit and my heart. And if I need to apologize to people or to make amends, I try to do that the best I can. So I feel like letting go of some, again, easier said than done, but if you are here to see beyond physical reality, that there's a lot of spiritual complicated lessons, and some of that, comes down to how we're feeling on the inside versus, what things look like in physical reality. and not putting too much emphasis on, like, okay, well, this didn't happen because look at these material conditions for this person, right? Someone with a hardened heart and who's mean, who takes advantage of people, who's just not like a kind person, like maybe they have things in physical reality, but like having an empty soul doesn't feel that good. Okay, so you all got the cards. I mean, I normally pick 3, but 4 flew out, so we're gonna do that. So you all have the card, the World, 4 of Swords, and then 10 of Cups and 10 of Pentacles. So I mean, okay, so what I'm getting with the World is I feel like this situation, whatever, where it doesn't feel like it's fair or just, maybe it was your whole world. Maybe you had to rearrange your whole life, which I've had to do, is not fun, right? Because of the situation. Maybe, something happened that felt like everything was shattered, everything in physical reality. You've had to rearrange, you had to move, you had to do this, you had to change your phone number, you had to quit your job, you had to end this relationship, you had to say no, you had to, like, it was exhausting, right? So I feel like what I'm hearing is, good for you to be able to do that and to be responsible enough and to be able to realize, like, again, it's not fair, but that's how life is for everyone. Like, not minimizing your thing, but sometimes we think we are above hardship, but it happens to everyone. And like, again, that's not to make you feel like you shouldn't be upset about what happened, but this is, life is, things like that are given to all of us. And so how we respond to them and deal with them, that tells us how, like, who we actually are as a person. So I feel like the first message with this card is, if it was your whole world, if it was so many things that felt like, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to, whatever, I have to give up everything. Like, just know that you made it through. And I hope you're really proud of yourself. And you just take a moment to, like, hug yourself and say thank you to yourself. And you rearranged your life and you did these things. Like, that's amazing. And then also the World card is about cycles ending. So I feel like if you've been going through a period of doing that, or you kind of, if it was recently, it's like time to let that be done, time to let that, a lot of times when we have to go through a situation like that, the most immediate things are like rearranging things in physical reality and then letting that cycle be done, because then we have this 4 of Swords, which is about resting, and it's about turning inward, it's about nourishing, it's about peace, it's about praying, it's about connecting to our higher power and letting that kind of refill us up. So I feel like after we do some of these, like, annoying physical reality things with this, we still need to turn inward and be like, okay, how can I nourish myself? How can I connect to myself? How can I honor myself in a way that feels like loving and caring and good? And just really focus on refilling myself up with that, validating myself, like licking my wounds, holding space for that. So that's kind of what I'm hearing for you guys in group 2, of like the situation. If you've done everything you can do to balance it out, like, this is a time for you to really, what do I need? What are my needs? How can I feel soothed? How can I feel seen? How can I feel taken care of? And really doing that for yourself, is a lot of what I'm hearing. And then closing your reading, again, I normally just pick 3 for these little readings, but 10 of Cups and 10 of Pentacles jumped out. So I mean, this is emotional fulfillment and physical reality abundance, right? This is like, I mean, look at that, both. So I feel like, again, when you live integrity, when you set boundaries, when you get knocked around, when you have to refine your path, it's very annoying, and we are not minimizing that at all, right? But what I will say with these 2 is, what's going to come in for you is emotional fulfillment. When you live in integrity and you have to go through this painful process of letting things go or saying no or whatever you have to deal with, if you know in your heart that you lived in a way that was kind and balanced and fair, when you get to the other side of the process, it's easier to have a heart that's soothed, because you didn't take advantage of anyone, you didn't harm anyone, you didn't whatever. Or if you did, you try to make amends, you're self-reflected, you're trying to be aware. And then what comes from that is physical reality abundance. So it doesn't necessarily mean, you're going to have 80 mansions and $50 million and whatever, right? But you will feel like it is enough, and you have enough, because again, that peace in your heart from knowing that you have acted in a way that is clear and is kind, and the inner peace that comes from that, like, kind of radiates into the rest of our lives. And so if you've been doing that group 2, it's a reminder that you might not be rewarded in physical reality the way other things are in our current realm, but it will be worth it and it will feel affirming. Look at this, blossoming into abundance. So yeah, so I feel like this is a reminder that, again, when you do these hard things, when you say no, when you have to go through these things, that, like, everyone has to go through things that they wish they didn't. Okay. And when you do that, and then you become transformed, and like these situations, you survive these hardships and you see, oh my God, like this abundance and this like amazing part of myself was in me all along. Like that feels so good, and that helps radiate into other parts of our life. So we're not romanticizing these like unfair, hard situations that happen in life, but it is important to recognize if they are happening, what am I going to do with them? If this is what's given to me, and we, again, you don't have to like it, but if this is what's given to me, what am I going to do with it, and how am I going to move forward? And look at that. We have the Weaver. So this card is really about saying like exactly what I'm talking about. How do you weave your own destiny? How do you take what's given to you, put your hands in it, and figure out what's going to happen? You know, and there's a time to cry and be upset and process all of that, have your stages of grief for sure. Like we want to do that. But eventually things are going to be what they are. And so when that happens, when that's the truth, it's going to come down to what are you doing to honor that for yourself? What are you doing to like say, okay, this is my life. What am I going to do with it? Right? The resistance to it, not accepting it. How are you going to move forward with it? And again, I'm not saying that to be like crass or dismissive or anything, but we get to the point where it's like, all right, this happens. So what am I going to do now? You know, which like that has happened to me many, many times in my life. I don't like it. I'm not ever grateful for these things that were unfair or unjust, but you know, it does come down to like eventually what am I going to do about these things, because so many of us have to go through things that don't feel the best, but what we do with them is like what makes all the difference. Okay, and then your affirmation card to close. Instead of praying for an outcome, I pray for the highest good for all. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the theme of your reading. I feel like group 2 of just like, you know, instead of praying for an outcome, that can also mean like instead of praying that this certain thing didn't happen or this whatever, right? We're not in charge of these physical reality things that we think we're in control of, right? Life can change like this on a second. So many things happen that we have no idea they were going to happen. So instead of praying like, okay, God, like this horrible thing happened, so it will feel better if this happens instead, right? But just saying like, God, show me what to do, show me where to go, show me how to nourish myself, show me what your plan is for me, show me how to do all of that. And that will lead to these things, because again, we are not in control as much as we think we are, right? God is in control, not us. There are forces at play here that we are not in control of. So just remembering, like, instead of praying for an outcome, ask for God's will, and ask for God's will to be shown to you, and how you can carry that out. And that will serve you a million bazillion more times and bring you more peace in your heart than just like, God, give me this exact thing in this exact way, or else you don't love me. Okay, because that's not what true divine love is. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 3. So you all picked the goddess Kali, endings and beginnings. The old must be released so the new can enter. I mean, this is true. Okay, this is like, as humans, I feel like this is one of the things we forget the most, because we can say like, okay, I want this and this new thing. I want my life to transform in this way. I want this new thing happening for me, or whatever. We can say that all the time, but we don't realize, okay, for that to happen, we have to let go of like our old life, our own patterns, our old way of being, maybe some relationships that can't come with us to the next place, right? So the old must be released so that the new can enter. Sounds simple, but we forget it, right? We say, well, I want this new thing to happen in my life. It's like, okay, well, this other thing has to not be happening anymore for you to get there. So this is a reminder that, you know, when things fall away, when things leave, a lot of times that happens so that something new can come in. When we want the new life, the old one has to crumble and fall away first. So this is a reminder that group 3, if you're going through something where it just feels like, oh my God, like there's no stability, things just keep being taken away from me, like I don't know what's going on, things aren't clear, things are whatever. This is a reminder that like it's not punishment when things get released or taken away or change, or you know, all of that, that's so that something new actually can come in, and so there can be the next thing, right? And the thing to remember about this too is like when things end, there's death, but then there's life, and there's death again. So then there's always life. Then, you know, it's like it's a cycle of all these things. It's not just like this thing is gone and it's never coming back. We always get refilled up. There's always something new. There's always, you know, these new layers of being, and things that can come into our life from these things. So the old must be released so that the new can enter. So I think just ask yourself, you know, what am I holding on to that's like, we know when it's time for something to end, but how we do that, how we respect that, how we actually let that happen is another story, right? Okay, so just maybe thinking about that, group 3. Okay, I'm going to pick 3 tarot cards for you, then I'll look at some oracle cards. Okay, so we have the 4 of Cups, Strength, and the 10 of Swords. So I feel like, you know, group 3, you're going to be balancing some energy here of just like, you know, you have the strength to do this. That's the first thing I want to say. So that's the center of these 3 cards. You have the strength to do this. You have the strength to move through it. And I just want to emphasize, like always, I say this all the time on my channel, but it's really important to remember that like feeling like you're doing something flawlessly isn't the same thing as doing it, right? So if you're doing something, even if it feels like you're not doing it very well, or you're scared, or it's like whatever, if you're still doing it, that's strength. That's what strength is. Not like, oh, I did it, no problem, no challenges, anything like that, right? So you do have the strength to do this. You do have the strength to get through whatever you're releasing, whatever you're purging, whatever is leaving right now. So that's the first thing I want to say. And then on both sides of this card, we have the 4 of Cups and the 10 of Swords. So I think really what I'm hearing for this, you know, it sounds nice, me to say it very pretty and cute on YouTube, right? Like let go of the old so the new can be enter or whatever, all that stuff, right? That sounds nice. Okay. But you know what actually happens too, and the reality of a lot of these things is it is very sad and you do feel exhausted. So what I'm hearing is like, don't spiritually bypass yourself. Go at the pace that works for you. Know that, you know, if you do feel sadness and loss and it's time to let things go. I think I said 4 of Cups. I meant 5 of Cups. But anyway, so if you do need to let things go, if you do need to feel sad, if you do need to mourn, don't pretend like that's not part of your letting go process. Don't pretend like that's not happening for you. You know, it is important to make sure we are honoring everything that's going on for us, and that includes, you know, loss. Even loss we choose or loss we want to grow into can still be sad. So really honoring that and not, again, feeling like, oh, I can't be sad because this is like making space for something better in my life. Be sad if you're sad, you know, just don't stay there, but let yourself feel the sadness and the loss of something. And then also, if you're tired, take a break, right? Like sometimes some things we have to let go of are so, they were such an important part of our lives, and they were so meaningful to us, or we thought we were connected to them, we had like hopes and dreams attached to them, and then it just like is total reroute or something totally different happens. And so this is a reminder that like if you feel exhausted, if you feel beaten down by life, give space for that too. You know, really nourish yourself, really honor yourself, let yourself acknowledge like I'm burnt out and I need a break, right? And I get sometimes we still have to show up for life, we still have to do these certain things, that's very real. And again, not dismissing that in any way, shape, or form, but this is a reminder that is important to remember that let yourself be upset, let yourself feel like exhausted, let yourself feel these feelings you're feeling, and knowing that that is what gives you strength, right? So it's like it's harder, it's when we ignore our feelings, that actually hurts us more than if we just say, I'm feeling this, but I'm going to choose to do this anyway. I feel this way, but I'm still going to choose to show up in this particular way. So strength, again, is a reminder that, you know, like just showing up and doing it. Don't downplay that. Even if, you know, even if it feels horrible, you're having these like internal temper tantrum about it, that you have to do it. If you're still showing up, like that's where you need to praise the action, not the outcome, right? So being proud of yourself for doing that. And then when you continue to do that, you know, it's just like layer after layer of things letting go, of things ending, of things, you know, being taken out of your life, and these new space for new things. Okay, I'm going to look at some oracle cards. Your heart knows the way. So again, I feel like, you know, when things are for us, or when it's the right choice, or when it's the right thing to do, we can feel that in our heart. Sometimes we can be resistant and we don't like it, and we're mad and we're tired, but we know it's the right thing, right? There's so many times like that we can, like spiritual maturity, emotional maturity is realizing like, this isn't what I would have chosen for myself. I don't really like this that much, but it feels like the right thing, even if it doesn't feel the best in the moment. So your heart knows the way is really about trusting the ways that you need to show up, that you can show up, the ways that you know that you need to move forward, even if, again, like something can feel right and not feel the best, right? Something can feel right and know that there still is some sadness involved in some way, shape, or form. So your heart knows the way is a reminder that you have to follow your heart, and you have to trust that like whatever whatever is leaving or whatever, like doing the right thing, doing the thing that is respecting yourself, that is honoring yourself, will feel correct, even if it doesn't feel good or affirmed or like, the easiest, most joyful thing ever, right? Not all necessary catalysts feel good. Not all things that are the path for us feel good. But if you can feel in your heart that it feels right, then that's what we want to focus on. And look at this. Then we have the alchemist. So alchemy is like turning metal into gold. So the alchemist here is like, again, taking what's given to you and transforming it. So, just knowing like the old is released so that the new can come in. And this is just a reminder that like when the old leaves, like how you handle that process, how you honor your feelings, how you let yourself grieve what you need to grieve, or let go of what you need to let go of, or respect yourself through all of that. Like that's going to set the tone for, this new beginning that comes in. How you handle things is a reflection of your character, not what's given to you, because there's so many things in this life that we don't choose for ourselves. And so the alchemist is like, all right, this is what was given to me. This is what's in ending. This is something that's leaving my life. How am I going to show up and, for that thing and be involved in that thing is going to show me what's in my heart and my character and with all of that. And again, that's not like, and it takes strength to do that. And again, not strength of like, wow, I love that this happened. I'm so excited to do this. I'm da da da, right? There are ups and downs. It doesn't feel the best. It doesn't feel easy or like something we would choose, as I've said many times, right? But this is a reminder that you are capable and in charge of these things that happen to you, like these things that are being released so that you can create space for something new, and trusting in your growth, trusting when it's time for something new to come. Like that determines so much more of your life than these things that are given to us, because there's so much that happens in life that we would not choose for ourselves. And I get it. I've been there many, many times, right? But how we continue to move through that determines, like alchemy. It's not so much what we're given, but what we're able to make from that, the relationship we're able to keep with ourselves, with God, how we're able to show up is like what comes from all of those things. Okay, then we have your affirmation card. In any moment, I can surrender to the powerful presence of love through prayer, contemplation, and stillness. So I feel like, again, group 3, when you're going through these things, don't downplay what it means to feel connected to God. A lot of times when we think, okay, I have to handle this, I have to do this, I have to figure it out, right? We forget like, okay, God is there and wants to help us too. So in any moment you feel overwhelmed in this process, any moment you feel like, how can I release this? How do I have to do it? Just so you can just pray, meditate, ask for help, and just say, God, one of my favorite prayers is, God, please remind me there's nothing that's going to happen today that I can't get through without your help, right? Or God, please show me what to do. God, please give me the strength, right? So this is a reminder that for group 3, if you feel like, if your default is I have to handle everything on my own, I have to figure this all out, remember God is always there to call on, to ask for help, to ask to fill you up, to just even listen when we feel overwhelmed, right? All of that energy, but just not forgetting that, remember, you're not alone in these things you have to release. And remembering any moment, you can just say a quick prayer, a quick help me prayer all the time. Say it 5,000 times a day if you need to. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.